Okay, your base and base towards the bottom.
With base, I'm with base towards the bottom. Camera, please, Rabbi. Oh.
Oh yeah, I just remember. Thank you. Good morning. Yud base, Amud base. Ahu Gava, the Akdish B'Tzipsa, 369, about 10 lines on the bottom. We're talking about Shabbat Pruta and related topics. Ahu Gavra, the Kaddish B'Tzipsa Da'asa. A man was Kaddish a woman with a Tzipsa Da'asa. Asa means Adasim, and Tzipsa Rash means Maxelas, a mat made out of myrtle branches. It seems it's very cheap. I think Morris going to say right away the story wasn't even a Shabbat Pruta, but it was close. But he thought that as a Shabbat Pruta, he gave it to a woman that you should be married to me with this. Amulei, but unless Shabbat Pruta, people told him it's not Shabbat Pruta. Amalahu Tiktash Ba'ar Bazuzi Dispa. So he said that in this there's 4 zuz pocket, and there was 4 zuz over there. So he said, so she should take the 4 zuz, much more. First was Shabbat Pruta, now it's already 4 dinner, 4 zuz. Each one has 192. So he said that there's 4 zuz in the Matzelet, and that should be the Kiddushin.
Oh, yeah, but we're not allowed to buy something which is not out.
I don't understand. Yeah, the story was a man at a Matzelet that had a pocket that had 4 zuz in it. He owned everything. He owned the Matzelet, he owned the zuz that was inside. He told the woman, "Be mekadesh to me with the matzelas." He said that's not Shabbat Pruta. So he said there's 4 zuz inside, and that should be the Kiddushin. So it seems in the Gemara there's no problem. If she would say yes, it wouldn't be an issue. Even though when he gave it to her, he didn't give her 4 zuz. But then he said that you have 4 zuz of mine, Kiddushin. Even though when he didn't give it to her for Kiddushin, it seems that's not a problem. That maybe to me is that's his money. No, that's not the case. And it's going to see other cases
when
also.
He gave it and give it back the 4 zuz.
The 4 zuz Marcellus is yours, then he said it's not enough.
4 zuz.
It becomes their money. So it's her money. So you say, you owe me money, be Mekadosh with that. You can't, because it's her money. She owes him money, but she doesn't have any of his money.
But here, there wasn't alpha, it's Bikadan. The 4 zuz is Bikadan.
If she has his money,
If she borrowed from him for.
she borrowed, but you borrow money, it's your money. When you borrow money, it's your money.
Okay, but now she has to pay back.
She has to pay back.
So he says, you
don't have to pay me. So he's not giving her anything. But if she has his thing, and he says keep it for Kiddushin, that's also good.
For 30 days, and then he says just keep it there, not to be Kiddushin.
Yeah, they're not Pikadon. He wasn't going to say something Pikadon. He gave her something to watch. And then he says keep it. That's okay. Even though when he gave it to her, he didn't give it for Kiddushin. He says keep it for Kiddushin is also good enough. But the subject of the Gemara is going to be if we know for sure that she accepted it. The whole thing is going to be if she didn't say yes. If she says yes, then for sure that's not a subject. Subject is going to be that she didn't say yes, and the issue from her side, so you see that she means to accept. Means by under the chuppah when he says you don't wait to hear that she says yes. You don't have to say yes. When you give something for Kiddushin, so then the woman doesn't have to say yes. The fact that she accepts it, that is enough. Now our subject is going to be maybe the reason why she was quiet. So the whole subject is going to be when a woman is quiet, does that show that she accepts or not? Again. Ahu Gavra the Kaddish B'Kid Sifsa Das, a man with Kaddish, a woman with a Marcellus of myrtle. Amralev, less B'Shav Fruta. People told him that it's not worth Shabbat Fruta, it's not good Kiddushin. Amalahu Tiktash Ba'ab Bazuzi this bus. So she should keep the 4 zuz that's inside the Marcellus, and that's the Kiddushin. Shakalta Bishtika, she took it, she kept it, but she didn't say anything. And the question is, did she mean to accept it for Kiddushin or not? Amar Rabba, I have a Shtikus at Lachamat and Mos, the Hoshtikus at Lachamat and Mos, Laptumi. It's silence after the giving of the money, and that's not good enough. If it would have been b'shas matan nos, like we do always by Kiddushin, always under the chuppah, he gives her a ring. She doesn't have to say anything because shtikusa b'shas matan nos is okay. The shtika that she did when he gave her the Kiddushin, she doesn't have to say yes. We understand that. If she doesn't say no, she means yes. She doesn't have to say anything. But here, it's already after he gave the money. When he gave it to her, initially he gave her the Marcellus. Now she has it, and now he says keep the 4 zuz that's inside. If she's just quiet, that doesn't show that she accepted it. That's Rava's Kiddush, and it's not going to be good Kiddushin. If she says yes, then it's good. If she doesn't say yes, we don't hear from her that she means to accept. And Anakim was going to prove that was Rav, and he's going to prove it.
But she was assuming that she backed out. She got upset at him. Then
No, doesn't say upset. Doesn't say the Gemara. You don't see in her silence that she accepts.
Well, why should you assume she backed out? She was willing to get married. It's about a minute later. She's schizophrenic.
I don't know what they must talk about the fact that she didn't give it back. That shows something. Does that no? The other way. The fact that she didn't give it back is also much that she's accepting it. I don't know. If Ram's asking that, why should she not accept it? She accepted a second ago. She was willing to get married for a Shavah Pruta. At the end, it wasn't Shavah. Now she's giving her 4 zivs. Any reason why she should have backed out right away?
Unless she got upset that he wanted to do something so cheap.
The Gemara doesn't do that. The Gemara doesn't go like that. The Gemara's not going to be. So why should you think that it's not? The Haggadah is called Shikusa the Lachamat and voice. The silence after.
My chance, because she's a woman. She changed her mind. That's it.
So B'shas Matan Mos, that's okay, and that's what we do always. But not even Machmer. I would have thought of a Machmer.
I think maybe when the Ma'aseh Kiddushin was done, she didn't know it was worth a Shavah Pruta.
Right, but now it's true. But now it's true.
But that's after the Ma'aseh.
Now he gave. No, so the Ma'aseh is that he tells her to keep it. If we're going to have a Gemara soon that's going to say if you gave her a Pikadon, she could have had the Pikadon already for 2 years. I think, and then she will keep a Kiddushin. That would be good. And the question is going to be: did she mean to accept it? She didn't mean to accept it. The whole thing is only what did she mean? If she would have said yes, it's not a question. If she would have said yes, it wouldn't be a question. That's the nidon. The question is not if there's Kiddushin. It's Kiddushin. If 4 zivs is good Kiddushin. But the question is, did she accept it? If she says yes, it's not a question. But if she was quiet, that's all being done. What did she mean? So Avrohom is asking, why should she have changed her mind? A second ago, she was willing to get married for a zuz. That's how you over the question. Okay, that was the Gemara. Then he says, is not a raya. It's not a raya that she accepts it, so therefore it's not good Kiddushin. It doesn't even make a suffix out of it. Love Klumi. It sounds like it's for sure nothing.
I mean, why isn't it a suffix? Even my students won't help. It should still be a suffix.
I'm a Rava. Now he's going to see where he gets it from. Rava told us this, but he didn't prove it. Now he's going to prove it. The Tanya, he told her, take this to watch for me. Nothing, that's no Kiddushin. Take this to be a Pikadon, watch it for me. And then Chazav, and then he said, take it for Kiddushin. So it depends. When did he say it? B'shas matan mos ukudeshes. If while he was giving it, means first he said Pikadon, and then while he was giving it, or he said Kiddushin. He doesn't say anything because he gave it to her Kiddushin, even though he said first Pikadon. And maybe that's even also, I'm not sure what it means, B'shas matan mos. While he's giving it to her, he said, take it for Kiddushin, so then it's good. But la'achar matan mos, after he gave it, first he gave it to her for Pikadon, and she accepted it. She asked it for Pikadon, and then he told her, use it, keep it for Kiddushin. If she agrees, so then she's good Kiddushin, even though when he gave it to her was for Pikadon. This was the one I was trying to quote. He gave it to her for Pikadon, and she took it for Pikadon. And then he says, use it for Kiddushin, it's okay. Because she said yes, and it's his money in her hand, and she says it's good, accept it for Kiddushin, so it's good. You don't have to have a Maisa and a Sina. That's what it seems. But if she says no, the Gemara thinks she doesn't want. If she doesn't want it, she's not Kiddushin.
I mean, she's shocked. She just did a little prudent with somebody, and now suddenly saying, "Are you marrying with him?"
I'm not sure what you want to say
Not
with the.
expecting to get married with him.
I'm not sure what the drama
I
has to do.
understand why her answering it is not answering is saying that she doesn't want.
The Gemara didn't
she
figure
wants
out
to
yet.
get
The Gemara doesn't see it that she didn't answer. The Gemara has to figure out that she didn't answer. The Gemara says so far that if she said yes, if she wants, it's good. If she doesn't want, it's not good. The Gemara first sees the word lo rasa, that means that she says no. The Gemara first was lo rasa, she doesn't want. If she doesn't want, then it's not a right to our subject. We want to talk about if it would have been quiet. The Gemara has to figure out that it says here being quiet. Let's look at the words. If she wants, it's good. If she doesn't want, it's not. My Rasa, what is the translation of these words? Does it mean that she wants and she says, oh, she doesn't want? Ibn Rasa means the Amra.
We went to do it again.
I jumped the line.
The bottom line, I think you jumped.
Yeah, you're right. Ilan Rasa Damra in. And the word means yes. lo ratzadam lo. If you're going to say that rasa means that she said yes, and lo rasa means she said no, is that a chiddush? That when she says no, it's not the Kiddushin? That it says Mikudeshes, Mikudeshes. It doesn't mean the Sefer says the chiluk between Ratzah and Lo Ratzah. The Reisha says Mikudeshes. The Shas Matan was says Mikudeshes means even if she said no, that doesn't make sense. If she said no, you can't force her to get married. So of course it means can't be. The Chal the Reisha, top of the page. Amrlo Namshin. You can't say the Rebbe said it was good Kiddushin. She said no, she doesn't want. You have to translate the word lo ratzasa. Like kind of started saying that lo ratzasa means that she didn't positively want, which means she was quiet. It means she has to have positively said that she wants. But if she didn't positively say that she wants, it means she was quiet. Elolav, you must say ratzasa means zamra'in. What does lo ratzasa means? The shtika, that she was quiet. So what does it say in the brisa? If you go back to the brisa, it says that if he first gave her money for a pikadon, and then after she received it, she was quiet. It's not Kiddushin. Why? Because the fact that she was quiet doesn't show us that she accepted. Again, he gave her money for a pikadon, and she got it. And then he said, I want to use that should be Kiddushin. And she was quiet. If she said yes, it's good. But if she's quiet, we don't see that she accepted. It's not a thing to add some money. That some money is good. If she would say yes, it's good. He lets her his thing. So that would be a good Kiddushin. But if she doesn't say yes, you don't see that she accepted. And that's what the Gemara is, that's Rabbi's right, that he's going to say that Shtikusa, just being quiet. After she already had a thing in her hand, it's not a raya. And it goes back to the case that he had spoken. That he gave her a list. And then didn't tell us that she has it already. He says, use Abba Suzi, and it's quiet. So from the sense, I don't see that she accepted. That's Rabbi's raya. On the base over here. Shmamina, shtika, b'achamatin was love for me.
Yes. The mishtika goes with the ishtike mishtika. She was very quiet. It must be that
Lo ratzah means the shtika mishtika, that she was quiet. He must say shtika mishtika.
And then she was saying she doesn't want.
No, again.
If
she's quiet, it's not a riot that she wants, and therefore we say it's not Kiddushin. What is proving shtika lachamot and mos is not an acceptance, because here it's after you figure out the brisa. The brisa says that if he gave it to her for a pikadon and she got it, and then he told her use it for Kiddushin, and she's quiet, it's not Kiddushin. So Rav is magdir. Rav defines that means shtika lachamot and mos is not a right that she accepted. And therefore, it's not good Kiddushin. And therefore, the case, but the Mafsal is also that he tells her, gave it to her, she is holding the Mafsal, and then he says, keep the numbers. She is quiet. We don't see that. In Nara, name of a place, in Bavel, they had a question in the name of Avuna Beit of Yeshua on the proof of Rava. Rava brought a raya from the case of the Pikodon to the case of the Marcellas with the money in the pocket, and Yeshua is going to challenge proof. Midami, what's the comparison from the case of the Brisa with the Hasam B'Torah's Pikodon Avinu Nela? The case of the Brisa that said Midami. Hasam, the case of the Brisa that says that by the Pikodon, if he gave it to her as a Pikodon, then he said keep it as Kiddushin, that the silence is not an acceptance. That's because he gave it to her originally as a pikadon. She has achrayus. When she took it as a pikadon, she's responsible for the pikadon. And now she doesn't want to. Let's say she doesn't want to accept. Sovra isha dina lehu umizberi mechayav nebu.
So the word nihala means what?
To her. Yavinu ne'Allah, he gave it to her. So she thinks if I'm going to throw it and it's going to break, I'm going to be chayiv. Means the Gemara is talking. The Gemara is saying, I could tell you why shtika is not a right that she accepted. The Gemara like more. The Gemara would like she would say that if she doesn't show that she doesn't, like Avrohom is going to ask, people are different, but the Gemara is being not a halacha betzem, because if we know she accepts it, the question is, what does she mean? So when a person is quiet, what does he mean? So on one hand, you can say if you mean to accept, say yes. If you mean not to accept, say no. When a person is quiet under such a situation, what do they mean?
It probably depends on what circumstances.
So that's also, it's going to go into the people are different, circumstances are different, all these things. So I think more might say something about circumstances soon, but so far that's the question. Rava says that the silence is not accepting. And Rav Huda ben Yeshua is going to ask, maybe silence is accepting.
When we say shtika kadon, what is it?
Over there, when someone says, Yomi,
Right.
and so then the human nature is you're going to say something. If you don't say anything, that means
So
that
that
you're.
takes us
They were
now to
talking about
guide.
that. Someone says, so that's a
Ah.
universal question that you always ask, and I don't know the answer.
Uh-huh.
That people are different, mentalities are different, everything's different. I don't know the answer. But the was always down. What is human nature? So when a person says, you owe me money, human nature is you're not going to be quiet. If you want to deny it, you're going to say no. That's the subject over here. Okay, the question is, he tells her, keep this for Kiddushin, and she's quiet. What does that mean? What does that mean? Does she mean to say yes? Does she mean to say no? So Rava said she means to say no. If she would want to say yes, she would say yes. If she's quiet, it means no. And if anybody Yeshua is questioning that and saying no, maybe the human nature would be, if you want to say no,
She should say no.
she would say no. And no, for some
I
reason,
think she's our mom. I'm still trying to say that she wasn't expecting it. So she didn't speak. She just, doesn't that make sense?
you're saying like she's not. You're saying she doesn't even know what's happening.
Can you keep it as a pickup? No problem. When you get married, it's that,
So you're saying she doesn't see anything, like she's in La La
She
Land.
might be very happy about that.
But you know, okay. The Gemara is not going with that. The Gemara says that she means something. Her mind is there. And we're trying to. She is saying you don't see anything either way. You don't see. She give it 10 minutes to digest it. But the Gemara is going that you see something. We're trying to figure out what do we see. Rabbi says that the natural person would say yes, and if she doesn't say yes, it's like saying no. And Rav Huda ben Yeshua is saying no, the opposite. Maybe she would. How am I saying that the natural reaction would have been
No.
to say no? But the Gemara doesn't have saying no; it's throwing it down. Now I'm not sure why that's the way to say no. Why does she still say no? But the Gemara to throw it down. She gave her Kiddushin, and now she won't. So she would throw it. She would throw. So now the Gemara, Rav Huda ben Yeshua is saying it's not a right from the case of the Pikodon to the case of the Matzelas with the money that was inside the Matzelas. The Gemara is going to say that she has a responsibility. She can throw it down. She really would like to throw it down. She really would like to say no. She really would like to say no and throw it down. He gave her a Pikodon. Then he says, take it for Kiddushin. She really, the initial reaction will be, she wants to say no and she would throw it down. But she can't throw it down because then her brick she's going to have to pay because she's a shomer.
She could put down buttons.
Because it's a big.
Or she could say no. I
Yeah,
don't know. The Gemara has that the national reaction, drop it.
yeah.
And she says you can't drop it because I'm a
for Kiddushin, she wouldn't have a problem with that.
no. If it's for Kiddushin, she would. If it's for Kiddushin, she wants the Kiddushin, she would get to it. She wants to say no. We're trying to
If she wants to
analyze,
say no, she would throw it down.
but she can't throw it down because she's a shomer. And if it breaks, she's gonna have to pay.
Well, how does that work in the words? I thought it said here, if.
Husband, but us
She
because then
holds
Yavin
Savra.
over there.
Or
He
yes,
gave it to
Savra.
her right before that. Over there, he gave it to her as a Pikodon. Sabra, she thinks, Isha dinalu, a misberi, if I'm gonna throw it, then it's gonna break. I'm gonna have to pay for it. That's why I'm not gonna say no, but I can't throw it down. So her silence doesn't. Her silence is like also a no.
Okay, and I'll just Chaim David help me out over here. So why doesn't she say no? Because it could be she's flabbergasted. She's too emotional to talk.
We're trying to find.
Yes, why didn't she say no?
I'm
She really
saying.
means no.
I'm saying that she's not. Yes, she's not. No, she's just in.
Why didn't she?
We're talking about why she's not throwing it down. She seems. Of what she's doing wants to throw it down. She can't throw it down because she's maybe five. Like I don't see that she's flabbergasted. She's thinking. The Gemara
Yeah,
see
but
that
she's
she's
thinking, but
thinking.
it's hard for her to talk in this situation.
Okay,
Maybe.
okay. The Torah's Kiddushin have been in Allah. He said, here, back to the case of Marcellus, that would be done that he gave her the Marcellus, and then he said, keep the forces that's inside for Kiddushin, and she didn't say anything. So we want to be done that she meant to say yes, that she meant to say no. Over here, if she meant to say no, she should have thrown it down. It means because here she's not chayiv, she's not a shomer over here. So if it's true that she doesn't want it, she should throw it.
So the Ma'ase says she's bad Mikudesh, Safin Mikudesh.
It's a suffix. Means Rav said it's not Kiddushin at all, and Rav Huda ben Yeshua seems to be taking the side that she's Mekudeshes, at least suffix Mekudeshes. Means we don't see Robert from a silence. Robert that she says no. And if only only by Pikadon could we say that the silence is no, because we have no kasha on her. Why did you not throw it down? Because she didn't throw it down because she's going to be chayiv to pay. But by for the Kiddushin, we don't see a reason why she didn't throw it down. And if she didn't throw it down, that's a way of saying yes. So if anybody is going to say that the shtik of Achamat was is Kiddushin, or at least a something, maybe I think it sounds mashma a little bit that it's about a Kiddushin. At least the Lonichal, if she meant to say no, she should have thrown it down. So if she didn't throw it down, that's a way of saying yes. So if Machlokas in the case of the Matzelas, Rabbi said it's not Kiddushin, Rav Huna Beit Bishua say that it is Kiddushin. I have a some question. I don't get it. That if a person throws it down, even if they're not a shomer, also they should be chayiv. If you want to give it back, you don't want the Kiddushin, give it back. And but you throw it down, like even if you're not a shomer, you're not allowed to be mazik.
You're asking girls what to do with, if you prove as a Shabbat. They have their emotions, and their emotions fly.
If someone's if they're mazik, they have to pay. If someone is mazik, they have to pay. So the more it makes it sound, they only have to pay if you're a shomer. If you're not a shomer, you don't have to pay.
Maybe she should drop it. Someone comes over to me and puts a glass in my hand. I'm a to hold it for them.
They gave it to you as a proposal, so you don't want to accept it. So I think you have to put it down. You have to put it down carefully. I gave it to you. I didn't give it stam. Watch it for me. Then you don't have to accept. But here, he didn't say.
The girl comes over to him. She said she thinks he's draining. She doesn't feel he's a good guy. I don't want anything to do with it. Leave me alone. She drops it.
I think the case was like he said that he first gave her Kiddushin of Marcella. She was okay with that, and now he's giving such. He doesn't want it. He don't want it. It's okay. But Baruch Havachoy has the kasha on Rav Huna Beit Yeshua. Means there's Rava that brought a right that it's not Kiddushin. Rav Huna Beit Yeshua is questioning that it is Kiddushin, and now Rav Choy is going to challenge Rav Huna Beit Yeshua's question. Atakuli Nashi Dina Gemiri means Rav Huna Beit Yeshua saying that the regular case is Kiddushin when she's not a shomer. The regular case is Kiddushin because if she meant to say no, she should have dropped it. Say drop it, it means to say yes. But Rav Choy has a question with that.
First of all, what does she mean?
Women.
And Dina Gemara means.
I didn't translate. Rabbi Chai asked the question. I say something. I first from me, and then I say the words. Atu kulu nashi dinigim no Allah. Din is learned it. The old woman know learn it. That she thinks that she's going to be chayiv if she drops it. And really, I'm asking the kasha the same thing. I'm not dealing with you. I'm asking is she not right that if a person drops it without being a shomer not chayiv? So I don't get it. The Gemara says for sure she's not chayiv. She could have dropped it. And the question is, and the more is to be done. Maybe she really means to say no, but she didn't drop it because she thinks she's going to be chayiv. And therefore, we're not so convinced with Rav Huna Beit Yeshua's difference. Maybe Rav was right that by not dropping it, there's a Rav said what? I'm getting it wrong. Rav, you don't see that Rav Huna Beit Yeshua said that by not dropping it, it's saying yes. We don't see that, and Rav was right that silence is like saying no.
Maybe she's not allowed to drop break.
Not to break it, but she put it down in a way that
maybe she thinks if she doesn't watch it, she's mafliya.
Okay, but you see, it's a riot. The fact she didn't put it down is a riot that she's accepting. The Gemara's looking at it like that. You have to have a reason. Why did she not put it down? Drop it, put it down, throw it. Why did she not put it down? Why is she holding on to? Why is she holding on to it?
Because maybe she thinks she's mafliya to be a shomer.
That's what the Gemara says.
And that's a mistake. She doesn't. Even
Right.
you're saying she's not allowed to break it, but she doesn't have to be a shomer.
Right. So that's my focus of Avrohom and Avnachim. So everyone agrees about the Pikadon case. Everybody agrees that shtik alachamat and mos is not riot, that is not accepting it, that it's not klum, it's not Kiddushin. And the Machlokas is by the case, if it's not a Pikadon, if she was quiet, is that a way of accepting or not?
But the moment he says, "I'll marry, let me marry you with this Pikadon," it's no longer. She's not longer chayiv to shomer.
She's not taking it as Kiddushin. If she's not taking it. If she's not taking it, you have a Pikadon value. I'm offering it to you for Kiddushin. If she says no, so then she's still a shomer until she gives it back. She can't say I'm not. He didn't take off the. He said I'm offering it to you.
I would say the moment he says, I'm married.
He's offering. So
he's saying he's giving.
If you take it, I don't see. Shachar Rav Rav Kamed Ravina Kagav the Ma'aseh Machlokes is not between Rav and Avinu B'Rav Yeshua. So Rav had the question, and he sent to Ravina what's the halacha. Do we hold like Rav Avinu B'Rav Yeshua? Shalach lei another Avinu B'Rav Yeshua. So he sent back. We here didn't hear Avinu B'Rav Yeshua. Means we didn't hear, but we heard about it. He sent him because I didn't hear about it from him. She says not from others. So we don't have to accept it. And we're going to go like Rav. That's not a Kiddushin. But you did hear that from the B'Rav Yeshua's kasha. Be concerned about it, and maybe it is. It seems.
What do you do with Rav Yeshua's opinion?
It was. Seems that Ravina Ve'etzem did not accept the kasha. The kasha himself, if he'd agreed to the kasha, so he has to be. The Rav Yeshua is right. So it sounds like only because of Rav Yeshua said so. But we didn't hear it from him. We're not like his Talmidim. It sounds a little bit. So we don't have to accept. We can go with Rav. That's not a shash kedushin. But you that do have this Masorah from Rav Yeshua, so be choshesh, and maybe it is kedushin. But that's the end of the Gemara. So how do we get be choshesh, right? So what happened, just to sum it up, in the case of a pikadon, that that's the one point that's the biggest chiddush to me that the Gemara takes for granted, that you don't have to give it for kedushin. You could say keep it for kedushin, even when he gave it for a different reason, like a pikadon. But now he says keep it
because
for
there's no
kedushin.
handing over. There's a lack.
That's what I'm saying. Not. That's what I'm saying. Not.
Why?
I'm trying to say this is the point that I'm trying to bring out. That it's not true. That he doesn't have to give it for kedushin. He could say keep it for kedushin. He gave her a pikadon, and then
That's
he says, "Why?"
And that's your chiddush. And that's a chiddush.
To me, it's a chiddush.
Yeah.
To me, it's a chiddush that you don't have to give it for kedushin. You can say keep it for kedushin as long as she says yes. The only Gemara is just if did she mean to accept or not. That's the only don. But there's no don that he could give it for kedushin, as long as she says yes. And the only don of the Gemara is if she was quiet. Does that mean yes or does it mean no? And there's sometimes the Gemara says that it means no, and that's the case of the pikadon, where everybody agrees that if he said he gave it to her for pikadon and then he says keep it as kedushin and she's quiet, it's not an acceptance. That's what the Gemara learned out of Bryce, and everybody agreed to that. The question is, and then Rav Yeshua also agrees because she couldn't have thrown it down because she'll be chayiv to pay for it. So she really meant to say no. So there, everyone says she meant to say no. But in the case where there's no title like that, like the case where the Marcellus, he gave it to her first, the Marcellus, then he said keep the Arba Zuz that's inside, and she's quiet. So Rabbi says it's also not kedushin. From her silence, we don't see that she accepted. She didn't accept. But when the Beit Bishua says that she did accept, the reason why because if she wouldn't have accepted, she would have thrown it down. And she didn't throw it down, that means that she accepts.
I think so. Pikadon you can it comes out from this Gemara. Pikadon you can even without a nice mistake.
As long as she says yes.
Yeah, I have a shtickle raya. You have different places. No, you don't have to give something from hand to hand.
You're giving the ano now, but that's still the kedmi. I'm now already mekadosh with ano that I'm giving you now. I know that I'm giving you can be even if it's.
You have to give some. Not see from hand to hand. That's me giving something.
Maybe you're right. I know that she gives it to him, and that's also that right now with the things happening right now. But the thing that's happened already before, maybe you're right. Maybe it's a good rhyme. I didn't settle, but maybe it's a good rhyme. No Gemara. There was a woman who was selling Varshafi. For our purposes, it doesn't make difference what Varshafi is. Right? Whatever she was selling something. Rashi says some kind of ribbons, bundles, some kind of strings. Okay, but she was selling Varshafi. Whatever you want it to be. Sounds like kasha, something like that. I don't know. But she was selling Varshafi. And a man came and stole one from her. He grabbed it away. Khataf means he grabbed.
Yeah.
What's that?
Without paying.
Without paying, he grabbed the Varshacha. Amrullah Yavaneli, should I give it back? Amrullah, even Allah consciously. If I give it back to you, you'll be married to me with the Varshacha. What would you say?
It's not his.
It's not his.
So he is his because he stole it. He stole it. Now it's his.
I was going to say that in the case of the loan, it wasn't his, right? The money wasn't.
The loan is not his because once he gave it to her.
The Pikadon would be his.
Yes. And how about a Geneva? That's true. So far you're right. How about a Geneva?
You can't give a stolen ring for.
Why not? If you own it, if the kind of owes money to the Bailam, let's say, let's say he stole from somebody else. So whatever the case is going to be, there's a year Shishina Rishos, whatever it might have been, or
Over
year
here, it's
Shina
usually
Maisa.
Shishim Shos.
So or year Kedikona. The Gemara is going that the Gneva. The Gemara is not being down that there's no money. The Gemara is being down there is money. Whatever the case is going to be, it's enough money. As far as the money he stole it, now it's his, and now he wants to be Kaddish with it. And he said,
Right, that's all.
I'm giving it to you.
The fact
So-
that he owes her money.
He owes it. He's not giving. He's not.
That's a different.
It's not-
but
If
this
she
is
owes
different.
again, if she owes him
Mhm.
again,
No, it's her.
if he owe, yes, and he owes her money.
Steals some, so now he owes her for stealing.
I can't even count show what the money that he owes her.
I'm saying that's a side issue.
That it's the opposite other direction. If anything, he can regardless. The question will be if she owes him money, if he can say I'm
What
over.
does she owe him?
In the case where she owes him money, like a milva, she owed him money. So then you can talk about he's being mevat around the chov. He's foregoing the chov, waiving the chov. So that's the chiddush. No, because he's not giving her anything. But when he owes her money, what's he mekadosh with? I owe you money. Therefore, what? We have to mekadosh with what? If I
The
doesn't
ribbons I stole.
again, I stole and I owe money. So what's he want to mekadosh with? He's giving her the stolen goods and saying this is
Oh,
mine.
stolen goods.
The fact that he owes her is not giving her anything. He owes her. Right, you mean that? So in the case here, the Gemara is going that
The value
the
went up.
stolen item is now the ganab's, and now he wants to be mekadosh with it.
That's
And if she would say yes, it's good. And the
Well,
question,
that's what I'm saying. The
What
fact
is
that
it?
he owes her money for the stolen goods.
yes,
That's a side issue. Whatever those ribbons are worth,
yes,
he owes that value.
yes,
Or the ribbons, but
yes,
in the meantime, you're saying that the ribbons are his.
right.
So the fact that he owes her money is not a factor, and he can give the ribbons because he owns the ribbons.
It's not a factor to take away. Okay,
It's not a
fine.
factor
They
to-
take away from the fact that these are his.
Yeah.
Good. So now the question is that she didn't say yes. She was just quiet. Back to the subject of being quiet.
Two words. Right?
If I'm going to give it to you, are you going to be Mekudeshes to me? She took it and she was
Well,
quiet.
she took it and it was quiet.
So what would everybody say?
Well, if she took it because she wanted
she
her
wants it
ribbons
back.
back.
That's
Money.
right.
That's what I was gonna say.
I wouldn't even
It's
hear it sound. It's Pasha. It's a chiddush that she didn't bang him on the head
Exactly.
and say Gana chutzpah.
Yeah, chutzpah.
But the Gemara now probably means to say the fact that she didn't say that it shows maybe that she did accept.
Uh-huh.
Like I maybe that's what the Gemara means to say that the human nature would be she would scream at him and
Yeah,
get her rolling pin. What kind of chutzpah? He steal and then he kaddish me. But the fact she was quiet, maybe she means to accept. I'm just putting it down to the Gemara. The Gemara says that's the case. She took it and she was quiet. Amr of Nachman, in Shakli, B'didi Shakli. She could say, means we mean with translate, but she means to say, of course I took it. I took my own.
Right.
It means you don't say anything for the fact that I was quiet. I took my own. And I don't
Meaning
mean
I didn't want to be.
right. Just because I was quiet doesn't mean it means I
That's
took
what
my
Nachman-
own.
Exactly.
So Nachman says not Kiddushin.
Mhm.
Ace for Rabbi of Nachman. Rabbi Zakasha. It says in a brisa, I guess, Kitcha begezel v'chamas v'gneva. We'll skip the next couple of words. And it says Mekudeshes. First, it says stolen goods, which is everybody's talking about stolen goods. Somebody else is stolen goods. He stole from a bank, and then he wants to mekadosh somebody. So it says that it's good because he was kona. However he was kona, whatever the price also how he was kona, and he owes the geneva to the one he stole from. But the Maisi was mekadosh a woman with a geneva, so it is a good kiddushin. But here it says in the price, more bigger kiddush. He stole from her. Kisha beges l'chomas of a geneva. O shechatav selam yada. He grabbed a
I saw
coin
it
from her hand and a big kitcha, and he's mekadosh with the money he stole from her. Also mekudeshes. No difference if he stole from somebody else or he stole from her. It's mekudeshes. The word ges, I got the word gezel and chamas. Gezel means the stealing. Chamas means that he took it and at force and paid for it, but the person didn't want to sell it. It's also kind of a geneva, even if he paid
forced
it.
someone to sell.
Right.
Yeah.
And geneva, gezel means that it's open robbery, and geneva means
So it's giving 3 cases.
3 cases all of robbery, and all those cases are good. And the chiddush, the 4th case is the biggest chiddush. He stole it from her. Mekudeshes, because once he stole it, it's his, and then he has to pay. But the Maisa he has, and the Gemara somehow I don't know why I see how the Gemara sees it. The Gemara sees in this Raisa that she's Mekudeshes even if she didn't say yes, just by giving it to her. I don't see what the Gemara. I don't know whether the Gemara knows it. I would have said Mekudeshes just means that Chiddush is that it's his money. but does she have to say yes? Maybe she has to say yes. But the Gemara sees here that even if she didn't say anything, she's also mukadeshes, and that's what the Rav is asking. That you're saying that the silence it does not show acceptance. This Brisa seems to say that silence does show acceptance.
Mhm.
So the Gemara says the difference. Rav Nachman is going to defend himself. Hasam with the shadach. Over there, it's only if he was shidduchin. We said shidduchin means like today shidduch. That means that there was an engagement. It was so they were engaged so they were to get married, and then when he takes money from her, he steals from her and he gives it to her for Kiddushin. So then the silence means that she accepts because they already talked about getting married.
Prior to what happened.
Right.
So it's not. I wouldn't say it's so simple because now she sees he's a bandit. So now maybe it's not.
So
He's not a bandit. He's just taking it from her.
I mean, he didn't like go. He didn't like.
No, we gave 4 cases. I'm sorry.
this case that he wants to marry her.
Yeah, but if she's now, she might have second thoughts.
He doesn't have what to marry her with, so he'll even steal from her in order to marry
No,
her.
it depends. It depends. I would
But
say it
I mean,
depends.
He got her attention.
No, if it's Gessel, maybe she doesn't even know what happened. It's only the 4th case that it's from her hand that she.
Right. It depends if she's willing. If he takes it with force, he doesn't take. If he takes it with force, then I would say then she probably has second thought
So why should she be quiet? She should say.
because she
They-
sees there's no one to talk to.
Okay, this is. But I would have said Mekudesh if she said yes. I don't see in the Bryce at all that it says something about being quiet. But the Gemara sees that she's quiet, and Sakasha, you see that when she's quiet, it is accepting. And the Gemara says only over there because there was shidduchin before, so then her silence means that she accepts. But in a regular case,
What she doing with before?
there was no shidduchin. She was selling varshachi in the shuk, and someone came and stole a varshachi and said, "Have you had and she accepted it, and she didn't say anything. Over there, Nachman said, "In shakli v'didi shakli." Yeah, I took it back because it's mine. I don't have to be saying anything. I'm not accepting it. I'm taking back my stolen goods. So Rav Nachman still holds to his position, and even the Rav had a kasha, Rav Nachman answered the kasha. Shadach is different. We're not saying with the shani lam and shadach lo shadach. How can I prove? From where do you see that there's a difference? Shani lam, there's a difference to us between shadach and not shadach. That the silence makes a difference if there was shidduchin before. If there was shidduchin before, so
That's
then
how it
silence is acceptance.
Mhm.
If there's no shidduchin, then silence is not an acceptance. The Tanya, so he's going to ask the kasha from a brisa, and in order to answer the kasha of the brisa, one place Yosef Mekudesh says yes Mekudeshes. I'll show you another place where it says non Mekudeshes, and we'll put it together. We'll have to answer reconcile the brisa by saying there's a difference between shadach and no shadach. The Tanya, Amal Kinsi Salazu Shani Chayiv Lechi. He owes her money. A man owes a woman money, and first he gives it to her and says, "This is for payment of my debt."
What is Kansi?
Kinsey, take this in.
Take it
the
in.
unit at the end is when you speak to feminine
Yeah. Take
second
it in.
person.
the seller
Take this seller that I owe you.
that I owe you.
And then he says, forget about it. Take it for Kiddushin. I owe you money still. I owe you a seller, but leave that on the bill. I want to use the seller to marry you. Marry me with it. So what did he mean? Did he mean to pay back a whole? Or did he mean to make Kiddushin? So he changed his mind. So it depends. Now, of course, it's going to be good if everybody agrees and he's taking and he's giving it to her now for Kiddushin, even though a second ago he said he's going to give it for a payment. If he says Kiddushin and she accepts it, it's good. If while he's giving it to her, he changed his mind, and we're going to go again. What does Ratzah and Lo Ratzah mean? If she agrees, then she's married. I mean, she took it for Kiddushin. He gave it for Kiddushin. She took it for Kiddushin. Lo Ratzah Ena Mukudeshes, which will start off just saying she did. If she doesn't want it, she's not married. And the Gemara is going to ask, of course, if she doesn't want it, she doesn't want it. We'll be there in a minute. But Lachamatan was a feeling Ratzah Ena Mukudeshes. Once she took it in, once she accepted it, then even if later on he says take it as Kiddushin and she says yes, even if she says yes, it's not Kiddushin. Why is that? Before it was different. Before it was what the Pikadon. Here's by the milba that he owes her back. Why the Pikadon? Even if once she has it, if he says take it for Kiddushin and she says yes, it's good Kiddushin. That's what we made a big deal out of. That even though he didn't give it for a Kiddushin, he said keep it for Kiddushin, it's also good enough. But over here, there's part of if a show is not good, he owed money to her and she took it as a payment. So it's over, it's hers.
I don't understand when it says at the time of the
Giving,
she wanted.
she agreed.
He owed her money and it was
And then
given
he
to
said-
her
and-
as his money.
And then he said, B'shas Matan Mos, he said,
Didn't he give it to her and then he said and use it for
that's called Achamatan Mos. There's B'shas Matan Mos and Achamatan Mos. B'shas Matan Mos means while he's giving it or before he gave it, he changed his
It's
mind.
still in his hand and he says, here's the money I owe you.
No,
I'm marrying you with it.
right, and I'm not giving it to you for paying my bill. That
Before he
keep the
gave
bill.
it, he said.
He changed his mind. So
Okay,
it
she
was a
knows.
Sal Mukudeshes, that makes sense. And no Ratzah Ena Mukudeshes also makes sense.
Makes
We'll say in a
sense, yeah.
second. And then, but if it was after she accepted it, so then the game's over. Once she accepted it, she got back her money, and it's her money. Now he says, I want to marry you for it. It's too late. It's her money already. So that's why the Bryce says that even if this line is Pasha, once she got it, then even if she openly says that she agrees, Ena Mukudeshes, because it's already her money. That part is simple, right? But to go back to the case where it was B'Shas Matan Mos, and it says difference if it was Ratzasa and Lo Ratzasa. So going back to this case, maybe I'll just highlight it over here, that it says B'Shas Matan Mos, Ratzasa Mikudeshes, Lo Ratzasa and Mikudeshes. This is what the Gemara is going to be focusing on this line. The second line is simple, that once he gave it to her, even if she agrees to accept it for Kiddushin, it's not Kiddushin because she's already his. But the Gemara's question is going back on the first part, that it says, B'Shas Matan Mos, if she agreed, it's good, and if she didn't agree, it's not good. And that the Gemara's going, what does it mean, agree, not agree? My Ratzah, my Lo Ratzah. What do these words mean? We would have taken it simple. She agreed. Well, she said yes, or she said no. Ilay Mo Ratzah Dharma in, and Lo Ratzah Dharma Lo. If you say,
She spoke.
and she said, right. If you say that she spoke and she said, Ratzah
of
means she
course
said
yes,
yes,
and of course
and Lo
no.
Ratzah means she said no. So the Gemara doesn't just say that it's simple. The Gemara says, Ishtika having Kiddushin. What would be the din if she was quiet? What does Lo Ratzah mean? That she said definite no. The Rishon says she said yes. The one wants to know what would be the din if she was quiet. Can we be medayik in this brisa? What's the din if she didn't say anything? Again, he gave it to her first for taking back
Depends
the
on
home.
which part you look at.
Right. But the Gemara is going to want to figure out that what the din of being quiet is. The Gemara is going to figure out from the brisa. It could have been much shorter, I think. It could have left it all the Lo Ratzah says. It's just going to say, I'll say it in short what the Gemara is going to say. Then we'll see it inside. It says Ratzah Mukudeshes. And what's the din if she was quiet? Also Mukudeshes.
No.
The Gemara is going to say like you, but the Gemara is going to prove
You
that
have the deal.
the Gemara, no, you can't have the diak because it says both. It says both ways. It says if she says yes, it's good. If she says no, it's not good. So you can't be like anything because you have both the yukim. The Rishon says if she says yes, it's good. So if she's quiet, it's no good. The Sefer says if she says no, it's not good.
That's my problem.
So the Gemara is not medayik from there. The Gemara is medayik that if it meant to say that it's good enough even to be quiet, if that's what the Brisa holds, then it shouldn't say this fancy terminology. It should have said Mekudeshes.
It shouldn't say.
It shouldn't have said Ratzah Lo Ratzah. It should have said Mekudeshes. Like you said, the Gemara goes back really to the Reisha. This case of the Kinsi Stalazov Shani Chayvlo is really a continuation of the Brisa which we had at the bottom of the page, previous page, that it said Kinsi Stalazov Pipikodam is Kashili Mekudeshes. Here, we just said simple, but it didn't say Ratzah Lo Ratzah. It says if he gave her money for a pikodon and then said it's for marriage, B'Shas Matan Mos, Mekudeshes means even without saying anything. But afterwards, it has a difference. Has to be Dr. Ratzah. She has to positively explain, and Lo Ratzah means that she didn't say anything. But if it would mean that even without saying anything, the Stam is Mekudeshes, the Sefer should have said the same as the Reisha. That's really what the Gemara's diak is going to be now. It's a bit longer. The Gemara makes it pretty long, but that's what the Gemara is going to be medayik now. When it says that he first said take this as a payment, and then B'Shas Matan Mos, it's good. If it just means that it's good, even being quiet, it's only not good if she said no. Then the Rashi should have said Mekudeshes. Let's see the inside.
Instead of the Ratzah.
Instead of Ratzah Mekudeshes, she should have said just said Mekudeshes. Either Ratzah that means she said yes, and Lo Ratzah means that she said no. And if it being quiet, also would have been good. If that's what I mean to say, that Lo Ratzah is when she said no. But if she would have been quiet, it also would have been good. But it's in Mekudeshes Tam. Ki Hasan. It should have been the same as the Reisha when I wanted to say that it's good. So it says Mekudeshes. You must say the Brisa here means that you have to have a definite Ratzah. Ella, you must say Ratzah Dharma in. And Lo Ratzah means that she was quiet. Lo Ratzah Dishtika. What is saying the Brisa over here? When he was giving it to her first for a payment, and then he changed his mind. And while he was giving it to her, or before he gave it to her, he said that it's for Kiddushin. Being quiet, and she didn't say anything, is good Kiddushin. Ella Ratz
I'm sorry,
Adam.
so stam means without the word rasta.
Right, right. But the Moses explained that Ratz means stam. I'm sorry. Ratz means a positive yes, and lo Ratz means it was not a positive yes.
It says Kiddushin. It should have been having Kiddushin
It should have, if you'd say that the din is
when she's quiet.
when she's quiet, it is Kiddushin, then it should have just said Mekudeshes, Stam.
Stam meaning without rasta.
Right, it's just said Mekudeshes, without
the
explaining
rasta.
more, right.
Yeah, okay.
Just like over there, Kihasa, like the ratio when he wanted to say that. It must be
like the ratio.
like over there, what's the ratio, where we just quoted the end of the previous stuff. Ella, we must say, Ratzah means a positive yes. It's only good if she said a positive yes. And Lo Ratzah means there was no positive yes. Lo Ratzah means there's shtika. So what does it say? That it's only good if she said a positive yes. Being quiet is not good. Just to get it again, the case was that he gave her money to pay back Chov, and then B'Shas Maisa, he said, B'Shas Matan Mos, he said, take it for Kiddushin, and she was quiet. It's not good. She has to die. Yes, we don't, that she's accepting. Her silence doesn't show us that she's accepting. And the reason is because she wants to take back her money. You owe me money. My time, you took it. Why were you quiet? I took it. I was quiet because it's my money. Must be because by her taking it and being quiet is because she wanted to take back her money. He owes her money. Now he comes with a story about Kiddushin. First pay me back the Chov, then we'll talk about it. But you owe me money. So you see, it's not the same case as before. Before it was a Geneva. It's not a Geneva. Here is that he owes her money. And the Gemara is letting out that in this case also, when he owes her money and she takes it, you don't see that she's taking Kiddushin. The silence, you don't see Kiddushin. She's taking it because he owes her money. So about Geneva also, she's taking it because he owes her the Geneva. So you don't see that it's an acceptance. So what the Gemara is doing is building up a kasha. Means Rav Huna, let's get back just to recap what happened. Rav Huna said in Sforah that when somebody stole and then the Varshachi over there, and then she took it with being quiet, it's not good because she's just taking back her own. In Shakli Vididi Shakli. Rav had a kasha from a Brisa. Where are we holding over here? There was a Varshachi case. Rav Nachman said that's not Kiddushin. Rav said that there's a Brisa that says that if he stole from her, Mikudeshes, and the Gemara thinks it means even if she's quiet. So Rav had a brisa. So if Nachman's going to say, but there's another brisa that says the opposite. The brisa we just finished figuring out says that if not stealing, but talking about owing her money, that by taking it, it's being quiet, it's not Kiddushin. She just meant to take back her own. So it's going to be a steer between the two brises. You must need the terrace with the Shotach and the Lo Shotach. What Rav Nachman is doing is bringing a brisa against Rav's brisa. Rav brought a brisa that Stam is Mukudeshes. So he's going to prove that there must be something you have to explain over here because there's not a brisa that says not Mukudeshes. In order to reconcile the two brises, you must say that the chiluk must be Shadach and Lo Shadach. That's how the Gemara ends off over here. Ve'ela kasha 1, 2, 3, 3 lines 4 spreads. Now I have a kasha for the Raisa before that says that it is Kiddushin, and the Gemara thinks even Stam, and he stole from her and gave it to her, so Stam is Kiddushin. You have a contradiction in the Raisas now. You must say my teretz. You must say the teretz is that if they were engaged already, so then the silence is good acceptance, and if not, then it's not. End of that sugya. What happened? We spoke about if someone is Makadish a woman with stolen goods, stolen from her goods. So again, the question is not if that's a good, that's it's my money. The question is all talking about do you see an acceptance by being quiet? And the Gemara says that if there's reason why she's taking it, so we don't see that she's accepting. So if it's a Geneva, she's taking back her Geneva. If he owes her money, she's taking back the money that he owes her. If she says beferish yes, she's willing to, so that's okay. But if she doesn't say yes, from the silence alone, we don't see anything. Before we had questions, why didn't she throw it back? Things like that. Here, it's not a question throwing back. The question she wants to keep it because it's mine. So therefore, it's not good Kiddushin because we don't see an acceptance.
What about the Shadich?
And Shadich is good, right? I left that out. And Shadich is good. If they were engaged and then she's quiet, so then we do see an acceptance. That might also, I'm not sure if that has relevance to the Gemara before also. This thing about Shadich, maybe it's going to be good by the case of the Shtika Lachamat and Mos. Also talk about if there was Shadich before. I'm not sure. New Gemara. No, Mamash New Gemara, I think no connection to before. First white line. A little smaller.
Oh, you're listening. Okay.
First of all, when Ravasi died, so the Chachamim came in together, the Beis Medrash, to gather all of the Mamorim that he said. They wanted to remember all the things that Ravasi had said. So they got together after Ravasi died that nothing should be forgotten. So everyone's going to say different Mamorim they heard from Ravasi. So Yaakov said to a certain Chacham, whose name was Yaakov, he said to the people, a statement from Ravasi, that we had a whole sugi before that you have to have a shavar fruta. That was Beisillah. So he says that karka also you can't acquire in the Kinyan Kesef also. And Tais talks about, of course, the whole sugya of Kinyan Kiddushin Kesef is only not from Kinyan Kesef of a Sada. But he made it the other way. That the same way we know that less than shavar fruta is not good enough to be kona isha, it's also not good enough to be kona karka. You want to make a Kinyan Kesef, you have to have a shavar fruta. Amulei, they said to Rabbi Asi or to Rabbi Yaakov, Batanya, there's a brisa, Afal Pisha, Indi Shiniknes Bepachas Shavar Pruta, Karka Niknes Bepachas Pruta. It says Fresh brisa in the opposite, that Isha not, but Karka could be called less than Shavar Pruta. Mamash against you, against Rabbi Asi. Amalei, so Rabbi Yaakov explained, no, there's something else. Kitanya Ahi Bachalip, and that brisa means to say that you can do a different kind of kinyan. If you want to do kinyan kesef, it has to be dafka pruta. But if you want to do kinyan chalipin, the sudar, you want to switch. So then it's good even less than a shavar pruta. Titania konin bekli afapi shem shavar pruta. Okay, that's good. You can make a kinyan chalipin less than a shavar pruta, and it comes out when people make a kinyan sudar. It doesn't have to be a shavar pruta. But a woman, you can't be konin b'chalipin. That was the beginning of the sefta that you have to have dafka kesef. So kesef was only shavar pruta. That's why I came into the sugya about a shavar pruta that isha yes, karka also yes. But if you do chalipin, then you don't have to have a shavar pruta. Now Gemara is going to continue more things that Rashi said. They all came in to say with Rashi's Mamorim. How do Yasmi Kamri? They were still they again sitting and saying more things from Ravasi. It's also relevant to Hilchos Kiddushin. Hadam Ravidam Shmuel. Ravid said in the name of Shmuel. This is not yet Ravasi. We're going to get Ravasi in a second. But he said, Kol Sheni Yodeh B'Tiv Gittin Kiddushin Lo Yehlo Eisekim One. Who doesn't know well the halachas about Gittin and Kiddushin should not have anything to do with it. Don't become a Masada Kiddushin. Don't become a Masada Gittin if you don't know the halachas well, because it can become a Michshol. And by Gittin, for sure, can become a Michshol. That think that they're divorced. He didn't do a good divorce. And she's marrying somebody else. Kiddushin also, I think the case of Kiddushin is going to be one day he's going to think that it's not a good Kiddushin. If he made Kiddushin by mistake, he thinks that if it wasn't really Kiddushin, so I don't think it's going to be as serious as Mamzerin. But if he's going to pass him that it's not a good Kiddushin, he's a Masada Kiddushin, he's in charge of Kiddushin, and they ask him, is this good? He says no, so it could be he's being Matir Ish. So it shouldn't have anything to do with this halachas if you don't know the halachas well. So that was Shmuel, and now it goes Ravasi. Ravasi, this was quoting Ravasi. Ravasi and Rabbi Yochanan, Kiddushin la'olam. Yosef midor ma'avol. That it's even worse than the Dor Ma'avol. And the Gemara is not going to bring something about the Masada Kiddushin, Masada Gittin. It's going to talk about the fact that that's Eishes Ish. We're going to bring how terrible Eishes Ish is, which the Chor is Pasha. I don't know why the Gemara brings the Eishes Ish and Mamzerim. The Gemara is going to bring up that it's worse than the Dor Ma'avol.
It's talking about Kiddushin.
It's going to be talking about the thing we're going to bring now is going to show that Eishes Ish, a married woman who has relations with somebody and has children on Zerim, all that is going to be worse than the Dor Ma'avol. So a person who's a Masada Kiddushin, Masada Gittin, doesn't know what he's doing, so he's going to cause Mamzerim. So the Gemara's not really bringing about the Masada Kiddushin, Masada Gittin, it's talking about the Mamzerim, about the Eishes Ish, but he's the cause for all that. So it's worse than the Dor Ma'avol. How do you know? Shenema, Allah, B'chachesh, B'Ratzoach, B'Ganov, B'Na'of. Allah is swearing falsely, and Kachesh is denying when he owes money. Vesoach is murder. Ganov is stealing. Naof is adultery. Parotzu, they reached for it. V'damim nago, when the bloods touched the bloods. It means that different things that they did, they killed many men till the bloods mix. But the Gemara is going to dash in over here. Rush on this one. This pasuk in Hosea, and the Gemara dash in main mashma. What do you see? Is here anything to do with Eishes Ish? Kidamitagim Rav Yosef, because Rav Yosef said over the Targum. Molden benin ben sheikh Avrohom chovin al chovin osif. He's going with these words. Parotzu v'dabim nago the nago also over here, and also maybe the naof. I'm not sure. Parotzu means that they had. Parotzu means to breach forth, but the Targum is darshaning that it means they have children. Parotzu means that they like ufaratz the yom of to breach forth, to have a lot of children. So they give birth to children from wives that are not theirs, the Sheikh Avrohom, the fellow man's wife, means have relations with a Eishes Ish. Choven al choven mosifim, they're making worse and worse averis. And that's going to be probably the Russia about damim nago is going to be something about choven al choven, more and more liabilities. So you see that it's talking about Eishes Ish. And what does it say about that? The pasuk continues. Know what happens with these averis? Al kain tevala. The person has to prove that it's worse than the Dharmabel. It says, Al kain tevala oretz mumlal kol yoshev. This is all the pasuk over there. I have to make it a little bit smaller because I keep on jumping back and forth. Okay, I'm sorry. But it says, etc. The pasuk over there says that as a result of all these averis, the land is going to be either mourning or cut off, whatever the word teval means, and all those that are all the inhabitants are going to be umlal, which also means cut off. That the animal, the beasts, and also the birds, and also the fish, they're all going to be destroyed. There's going to be a big korban as a result of all these averis. The punishment is going to be a korban, and who's going to suffer? Even the animals and the birds and the fish. And how do you know that that's worse than? How do you know it's worse than the Dor HaMabul? That the fish didn't perish in the Mabul. That everything that was in the dry land died, but the fish didn't die. And over here, even the fish. Like it says, so what do you see? That the person who gets involved with Eishes Ish and it causes Eishes Ish to happen, so he's making this terrible thing that people will be having relations with Eishes Ish. And you see, it's worse than the Dharma. That was the drasha that Rabasi said. Rabasi and Rabbi Yochanan. There was a kasha on this that the pasuk says a bunch of averis. It says Allah, v'kachesh, v'rasof, v'ganov, v'naof. So it says a lot of averis. Maybe this terrible thing that's worse than the Dharma is only to get all the averis together. How do you know each one individually? Maybe all of them together. The more said those are the Allah of law. So different pasuk. This pasuk in Yirmiyah. And they see that the first one, Allah, is so bad. Over there it says Allah. Here also I can't have Allah. So you see the punishment of Avelus Haaretz is not only for all these things together, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not 5 Averas together, even one Avera alone. So the same way, the more things, that the same way that the first Avera alone deserves its punishment, so too the other ones also, each one is individual. But the Gemara is still not happy. Maybe it does prove that the first one individually. Allah, the first one is Allah, you're right, you proved from Yirmiyah that even that one alone deserves this whole big punishment. But maybe the rest of them is only 4 together. Allah alone and Kachesh, Vatzor, Ganov, maybe those are also separate and only together. So the Gemara says in Amud Beis, so I'm not sure what the answer is. I don't get this line. And it says over there in the pasuk says before Paratsu, it says Allah, B'kachesh, V'ganov, Paratsu. So I don't see what the Gemara said with the Vav. I didn't get it. What do you see if it will be the Vav? So then you can say that they're all together. But if it says Paratsu, then it's only going. Then each one is separate. I don't understand this. Rashi says that the Vav would have been most of the Rishon. Over there it says Naov. It does say V'naov. I thought that the Paratsu was going back on the V'naov. When there's Niyov, so then Paratsu. But the Gemara seems to say Paratsu alone. As if the Gemara not going back to all the ones before, not the word Naov. Paratsu alone is supposed to be an Eishes Ish, the children are born from Eishes Ish, and that is worse than the Dharma. And that Gemara, the Gemara continues more members of.
Maybe Paratsu is not a thing on its own.
It is on its own. That's what the Gemara wants, that it should be on its own.
It's saying about all of them.
So that's a kasha then. The Gemara said maybe all of them together. How do you know each one individually? What's the answer? It doesn't say uparatsu. The Gemara seems to say that the paratsu, you don't have
goes on each, and Paratsu goes on each and every one.
How do you know? If it's only going on all of them together. It has a list of 5. The first one alone, and maybe the second 4 are all together. So paratsu shows it's going each one individually. How do you know?
It's a general thing about everything. If Allah is,
maybe all of them together. That was the kasha. Maybe all of them together. Besides Allah, Allah's on his own.
Allah's on his own, but everything else is above. So
maybe all of them together. That was the kasha. I'm getting the impression that the Parvatsu, you don't have to have a no. Parvatsu was a thing on its own. Parvatsu was an oath is one thing, and Parvatsu was a thing on its own. And Parvatsu, you see, for that alone, Parvatsu is supposed to mean Meishes Ish already. I thought the oath means that. And the Parvatsu was only the children of the Meishes Ish. I didn't look around. That was a Rashi I didn't understand. Okay, let's leave it as a question mark. And a new member. We're collecting all the members of Ravasi. Another one. This is not relevant to us at all. Other Yasi V'Karmi, then they were also sitting and saying things from Ravasi. Other Tnan, no shaykhs at all. A woman sometimes has to bring a korban that has two words. One is a chatas, one is an ola, like for a ledes or a zava. And she bought a chatas and then she died. So, are we going to bring the ola after she died? Yavir yoshin ola, so the yoshin has to bring the korban ola. Chatas after the person died is not, but ola after the person died is still to be brought, and her money is meshubit. They bring from the money of the Yerusha her korban ola. Amar B'Yudam Shmuel, Vusha free shata mechaim, but below free shata mechaim low. Alma Kasava, she would love the Raisa. Shmuel holds that only if she had designated it in her lifetime, then you bring it after her death. But if she didn't, so then the Yoshim don't have to take it from the Yerusha money to pay for it, because the shibud is not the Raisa. The shibud, it means that the Torah doesn't make a shibud on her nechasim to pay for the korbanos. That was what Shmuel said. But the Ravasi and Rabbi Yochanan, that was Ravasi we wanted. No, he argues on Shmuel. Even if she didn't designate it from lifetime, we take from the Yerusha money and bring the korban ola. Yes, the right. He holds that once she has a chiyuv, the woman has a chiyuv, so her nechasim are already meshubah. There's a lien on her property, and therefore when she dies, we take from the Yoshim and the money we need in order to bring the korban ola. And the Gemara goes into the subject about shibud of the rice or not. Is there, when a person has a chiyuv, is there a lien on their property? The Gemara says we know this already. Mechok is Shmuel against Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Shmuel dam mitavayu milval pe ina govim mina Yoshim v'lo mina alakuchos. Rabbi Yochanan Rash Lakish dam mitavayu milval pe govim mina Yoshim v'lo mina alakuchos. The Gemara is not talking about mitzvahs. It's not talking about a mitzvah like the mitzvah to bring a korban ola. As Sheba, there once you to bring a korban ola. The Gemara is comparing that to milval pe, an oral loan that somebody borrowed money without a contract. So, do you collect from the? Is there a lien on the property? There's an oral. We know everybody knows that not, but it's not so simple. There's a machlokes that Shmuel says that a milva al peh, even an oral loan. Is that the way you say it? Oral or verbal? A verbal. Verbal loan. So you cannot collect from the Yoshim and not from the Lekuchos because there's no shibud. And no difference Yoshim and Lekuchos. No difference if the man died or he sold his property. There's no lien on the property because he holds that shibud alav the raisa. Rabbi Yochanan Resh Lakish Amit Avayi Milval Peg Go Rebbeim Yoshim Al Lekuchos Resh Lakish Rabbi Yochanan we want Rabbi Yochanan say that verbal loan can collect. There is a lien on the property, so we have machlokes already.
Starting in a minute or two.
Okay, we'll try again about 5 minutes, I guess.
Okay.
We'll call. So the Gemara says, well, you have to have two times the same machlokes. One was by the korban ola that she brought a korban chatos, and now you have to bring a korban ola. And the other source was by milval peh. And the Gemara doesn't see a difference. Is there a lien on somebody's property? When they have a chiyuv, the lien is on the person. Chiyuv is on the person. Is there a lien on his property? So the Gemara wants to know why they have to have the machlokes twice. The Gemara says there's a chiddush in each one. The Gemara says there's a difference. It's true, both of them, there's a chiyuv, but one is called the milva ksuba b'torah. Something you have to do that the Torah says that you bring a korban chatos, you have to bring a korban ola. Maybe the shibudim that the Torah, the chiyuvim, the mitzvahs that a person has to do, maybe that makes a lien, but a loan maybe doesn't. That's going to be the smartest part to say that maybe that's more chomer. And the Gemara is saying that nobody holds like that. There are some that hold that as a shibud, even on a milva, al peh, and there are those hold that it's not. It's even if there would be a milva that the Torah, a ksuba b'torah. You might have thought that is different. If only would have said the case of the milva, the loan, the verbal loan, there's no shibud. Then Shmuel said there's no shibud. That there's no lien. It's not written in the Torah. This was his own verbal loan. The case of the korban, maybe there is a shibud because the Torah says that he must be in the korban. Maybe that is mechayiv his property. And the opposite, Yashmin and Baha, if only would have said the case of the korban, and Rabbi Yochanan would say over there's a lien on it, the same thing, because a lien that the Torah says is more obligating. Welcome, Rabbi Yochanan, the milva ksuba b'torah ksuba b'shtar. I would say only over here does he hold that there's a lien on the property because it's a chiyuv that he has to bring a mitzvah. The regular verbal loan maybe also agrees there's no shibud. Tzricha, that's why it's necessary to say in both cases. So the Maisa, nobody holds it as Chiddush. You might have thought, theoretically, you would have thought that Milvah Ksuba B'Torah is worse, but the Chiddush is not. And there are two extreme shittas. Either a Milvah Peh and a Milvah Ksuba B'Torah is a shibud, or there's no shibud on the property. Till now, we didn't differentiate the Yorshim or the Lakuchas. If the man died, or if he sold it. But now we're saying there's a difference. Allah there's a difference. If a verbal loan, the Yorshim do have to pay up their father's debt from the Yerusha. But the government Lakuchas. But if a person sold their property, you can't go to Lokea for the Milva. Why is that? What's the difference? Is there Shibud or no Shibud? Government Yorshim Shibud to the Raisa. We do pass the Shibud to the Raisa. So even on a Milva, the loan causes a lien on the property. But how come you can't go to the Lakuchos? And the government of Lakuchos, the last day color, that they weren't able to find out about it. It seems to be like the Tekana Sashuk. They made, in order to be able to do business, so they made that people should be able to buy fields without worrying that there's a lien on it because there was a Milval Pen, no one knows about it. But Milval Super Bashtar, so then there was a call about it. Just to finish off the daf, if we could. It says in the Mishnah, this is going to be an interesting sugya. It says in the Mishnah that when a husband dies or gives her a get, the woman is free to marry whoever she wants to. Everybody knows that, right? Yeah. But the Gemara doesn't know. Who says when a husband dies that the wife is allowed to marry? Maybe once she's married, she's forever. She's stuck. And the reason
two things, right?
The Mishnah says two things.
Two ways.
Right. And get is a Persian pasuk. The Gemara is going to say that after a get, she's allowed to marry somebody else. But by Misa, it doesn't say. Who says? Of course, the Gemara knows the truth. But the Gemara wants to say, what does it say in the Torah? Is Allah Moshe Messina? It's Torah Shebal Peh? Or is there any proof in the Torah that a woman, after her husband dies, is allowed to marry out?
Oh, and there are some cultures that I think in India they never remarry.
Mm-hmm. And they burn them together, right? There's also they used to burn them. That was used to be. They burn all the wives. At one time, it used to be like that.
So, okay,
not anymore.
Not in the 20th century.
Okay.
My wife had Peru whose husband died.
The woman, she was
a woman,
and
her husband died, and she
yeah.
was never to remarry. And then it ended up that her uncle, I think it was, brought her to America.
And then
she was a monastic and carried.
She
became the guru of my life.
And she didn't ever marry. So
she wasn't to be killed. She lived with her family. Mm-hmm. She lived with her father, I suppose. Mm-hmm.
So the question is, how do you see in the Torah that a woman is allowed to marry after her husband dies? Mm-hmm. And the Gemara is going to bring many psukim, but each one the Gemara is going to say it's not a proof. But at the end of the Gemara will find the proof. But it's an interesting Gemara.
Okay.
And just to point out, the Gemara is going to say that by arayos, by other kinds of relations, even after the connecting factor dies, it's still asa. Once someone's an error, then it's asa forever. Brother-in-law, sister-in-law, all this asa even after only wife, sister is only one that changes after that. So maybe what? And even right, it's an exception. Fishlama get the siv because of Lasei Pikusis. It says opening the pasuk that he gives her a guess and she goes to marry somebody else. That's open. Who says after her husband dies that she's allowed to marry out? The answer is first answer Gemara tries Sfarahu. Maybe it's a special Sfarahu. We can figure it out. Who Asrav? Who Shasa? He purpose of his existence is the one that asked her to marry out. So now he doesn't exist anymore. So he'll mother her. Says that wouldn't be a raya. Raya is also below shavilu. We see that when a man is an erba, he's the connecting factor. He caused the issa, like what it's going to be, let's say, a daughter-in-law. So why is she also? Because it's the son's wife. Even after the son dies, he's still not allowed to marry a daughter-in-law. Any kind of erba besides a wife's sister. That even though he has, it doesn't get matter when he dies. So that's not a raya. Next raya. It says brother-in-law, sister-in-law.
What was the thing about the arrives? When he married her,
so it caused an issue. So as somebody's son, let's say, somebody's son married a woman, that caused that the father cannot marry her, even after he dies, even after the son dies. Or a mother-in-law, the death doesn't take it away. So maybe Eshes also, once she was Eshes also forever. No, new right. That for Yivama, that has no children, she's not allowed to marry out. It says, that a woman who has her husband died, and she has no children, he has no children, so she can't marry out. But mashma, there are other cases could marry out. If she would have had children, she could marry out. Isn't that the fairish? It says that Yivama, the sister-in-law, if he had no children, so then she cannot marry out.
Mhm.
So you see that if he would have children, she could marry out. Gemara says no, it's not a raya. On the contrary, the deal ain't about Masul Alma, the Shayi Liyavah. Yesh Labanim, Lakuli Amanami Yasur. Maybe the chiddush of the Yavama is that she could marry the brother-in-law. But maybe if she would have had children, she can marry anybody. Maybe you can never marry out. The chiddush of Yibum is only that she could marry the brother-in-law. Maybe it's not coming to be maybe it's not coming to answer her on everybody else. The truth is, it's coming to answer on everybody and matter to the Yavam. But the Gemara is saying you don't see that. Maybe it's coming to matter to the Yavam, but she anyway wouldn't be able to marry anybody because no woman is allowed to marry after her husband dies. So third try. Ella is already a third try. Third. Ella v'dam rachman alman l'kohen gadol asur. It says a kohen gadol cannot marry a widow. That means everybody else could marry a widow. Isn't that beferish? All the kohen had yacharya. Everybody else, kohen and everybody else can marry. So you see that a woman alman is allowed to marry. The Gemara is saying you said the alman cannot marry. No, maybe you're right. That's it's more chamor for a kohen gadol, but maybe that would be allowed. That what does it say? So it's a low say. But maybe even if it wouldn't be to marry anybody else, would be a say. Maybe there's some kind of an affair. Not that it's going to be chamor. Chamor is not going to be chayiv misa. It's not going to be even allowed. Maybe it's an assay. And the more asks which assay. Hanya say my vidite. What kind of assay? Either hanya misa sabal tishtari legamri. Either lo hanya misa sabal. If the husband released that without a share. I think maybe the fact that he dies takes off the chiyuv. As you find such a thing, you do see such a thing. There's Meila when you can't have the sharing, all that is Meila. You're not allowed to work with it. But once you uphold it, there's no Meila anymore, but there still remains the Isagis of Avoda. So maybe that there's something that gets released by the death of the husband, but maybe it doesn't mean that she's completely mutter. So the Gemara still is looking for a source. How do you know that the death of the husband releases his wife to marry? That it says that somebody that just married should not go to war because he might die and somebody else is going to take her. That means that someone else is allowed to take her as mutter. Someone else will be allowed to marry her after the husband dies in war. But the Gemara says, no, it's not a proof. That's a hard one. That maybe the Ishacher is the brother-in-law, that he has no children, and that's all it means. It doesn't mean she can marry out. Pretty dochak. Two reasons why you can't say that. That one person wouldn't say that Ishacher. If it's the brother-in-law, it's not called Ishacher, it's not called a stranger. And if you don't like that proof, I still have another proof. And this is the final proof. By the din of Masuk B'Shasa, it says that a man divorces his wife, she marries somebody else, and the second husband divorces her or dies. He can't go back to the first husband. So the Gemara should have said L'chara simple. That says perish, that she can marry anybody else. So that Rashi says again, maybe it's only the losa say. Maybe it's still going to be an asay. The losa say is to marry the original husband, and maybe if everybody else will be an asay. So the Gemara makes a hekesh. Since the pasuk puts it together, this pasuk puts together that it says second husband divorces her or dies. Since divorce we know releases her completely, so death also. That's the mamash Russia. Ishkas Misa Gerish, and the pasuk compares death of the husband to the divorce. Ma Gerish and Shali B'Gamer, just like divorce completely is matter her, not only takes off the law of the chenek, it takes the bid and naseh. That says she's allowed to marry somebody else. Misa Shali B'Gamer. It's also the death of the husband completely releases his wife, she's allowed to marry him.